So today we're going to talk about two types of accidents that can happen when you're learning how to drive a stick shift car. And the first one is starting the car off in gear. So you come to a stop, you turn off your car, handbrake up, you put it in gear, and you walk away. You come back an hour later, you get in your car, you start the car, you get a phone call, your friend distracts you, something distracts you, and you let out your clutch because you got distracted. Boom, your car is not only stalled, but it has moved forward about a foot or 2 feet and crashed into somebody or a wall or another car. And the reason this happens is because people don't first learn how to shake their neutral. So when you first get in your car to learn how to drive, you're going to adjust your seating position, your mirrors, your steering wheel, and you're going to go through the gears. But the most important thing to learn in those first 2-3 minutes is how to shake the neutral. So when you put it in neutral, you do a big shake. Shake it, try to break it. Don't worry, you're not going to break it, but it's important you do the big shake. Don't do one of these, which many people do, because if you can see in first gear, you can shake it. In second gear, you can shake it. In third gear, you can shake it. But they are not the big neutral shake. So that is very important to understand, because when you get in your car the first time, or when you get in your car every time, okay, you're gonna put it in neutral, shake it, clutch in, start your car. Now if you get distracted and pop your foot off the clutch, car's not going to go anywhere because it is in neutral. It's not in gear. So you don't got to worry. So every time you start that car, when you are first learning how to drive, just put it in neutral and shake it. If you stall the car, put it in neutral and shake it. This is very important to get used to putting it in neutral and shaking it. After 20 years or like 5 years, whatever, when you'll be so good that you'll probably be doing these little shakes, but then at that time you don't got to worry about it. But when you're first learning how to drive, put it in neutral, do big shakes. So the second scenario I wanted to talk about happens mostly to automatic licensed drivers learning how to drive a stick shift. Not so much people learning how to drive on a stick shift. Two very different kinds of drivers learning very differently. And what this is people who forget to hit their brake and only press their clutch in. So they clutch in correctly in their mind. They're coming to a stop, they're clutching in, but they forget to press the brake. And what happens? They roll through the stop sign, they roll into the intersection, they roll into a wall, maybe through the parking spot over the curb. Maybe they hit somebody, they roll into an animal. So it is a very real thing that happens, and people who are teaching themselves how to drive should be aware, but mostly people who are teaching others how to drive. So you're teaching your friend, your family how to drive. You should be aware if they are a licensed driver, that this could happen. Because if you don't have your license, most likely you're not going to go very fast. You're just learning how to roll around in the parking lot. If you just got your temp permit, and you're going to learn how to drive the stick like that. And when you come to a stop, you're naturally going to brake. But automatic driver, they are going to go out on the road. And if they are automatic driver, the person instructing them is going to be confident that they are comfortable on the road. But some people are not great at multitasking, and once they get on the road, working the stick shift, the pedals, watching the traffic, can sometimes overload them, and they'll come up to a stop sign or an intersection, and they'll hit their clutch, and they'll forget to hit their brake. They'll roll. And if you roll into an intersection, it's so dangerous, especially, for example, left turn on the green. Very dangerous. Head-on collision. And that's all it takes for the person just to forget to hit their brake. So it is just something I wanted to share with you, and it's always helpful that everyone knows the dangers, and you can't, someone teaching you how to drive a stick can't always look at the road and be ready to pull a handbrake or do something like that, even if they had like a instructor brake. Most likely they're looking at your feet, not the road. So you can't expect someone else to hit your brake for you. And if you're an automatic driver, you need to be aware of that. That could happen. There is a great video on YouTube. I'm going to link it. I don't like the title, so please forgive me, because I didn't make up the title, and I don't agree with the title. It's titled Why Girls Shouldn't Drive Stick Shift, and I don't agree with that. But the video is shows the scenario that can happen with anybody, male or female. She is coming up to a stop, and she just clutches in and rolls over the curb. Very dangerous. Lucky it was in a parking lot, not on the road, but this can happen anywhere when you're least expecting it. So it is good that to understand it can happen. Sorry, there's just one more point I wanted to add. Hopefully you haven't turned off the video, or I haven't bored you yet. It's really important when you're learning how to drive that you're in an area where you can go slow, like a parking lot. And the first thing you should be learning is how to move the car around with the clutch. And so what you're going to be doing is moving the car just using the clutch 10 feet. You're going to come to a stop. You're going to clutch all the way to the floor and brake. You're going to be doing that over and over. Clutch in and brake. Clutch in and brake. And you're going to be doing that until you are doing it just automatically. When you come to a stop, you're clutching in and braking. And you're understanding, if you don't clutch in and brake when coming to a stop, the car is going to stall out on you. But there has to be a transition point when you go out onto the road, where you brake up until your stopping point, and then you clutch in close to your stopping point. So for example, coming up to the stop sign, you brake up until the stop sign, and then 5 feet before the stop sign, you clutch in. Automatic drivers, it's really new for an automatic driver to be clutching in all the way to their stopping point and then braking. But they are more familiar with just using their brake up until the stopping point and then clutching in a lot closer. That makes more sense to some people, and they are more comfortable with that. That is the right way to drive anyways, so it is important that you transition from the clutch in and brake to the brake and then clutch in. Don't forget that transition, and leave yourself or someone else clutching in and braking. Anyways, that is just something I wanted to add, and thank you for watching.